Hi everybody, my name is Mira. As I highly request a video from people in the Deadlock community, as well as many subscribers on my channel, I've decided to put out a short movement guide to help new players learn some of the movement tricks that I use in my videos. Real quick, I wanted to shout out that I stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/miradl_. So check out my stream if you want to see some of this movement put into use, or you can watch my games on YouTube where I use it often. Let's start off with some of the basics of movement. By using your movement input keys, you are able to move your character forwards, backwards, left, right, and combine directions as well. By pressing your crouch input, you are able to crouch and make your character move at a slower pace, but if you use this crouch over at a slope, your character will slide. This is very useful and one of the core foundations of the movement in the game. Next up, I wanted to talk about rolling. In Deadlock, you can roll backwards, forwards, left, right, and combined. This also applies to what is called the air dash, where if you press your shift keybind in the air, your character will dash. So you can dash forward, backward, side to side, and you can still dash in a combined direction. You can also hit space again to do a double jump, and you can also down dash by pressing your control input twice in rapid succession. All of these are very useful and they all have their own applications, but these are just some of the foundational principles of moving in the game. The next thing I wanted to talk about is meleeing. Meleeing in Deadlock, by charging up a heavy melee, you lock your character in the air and you move forward. This allows you to combine it with a jump to grab onto a ledge that you normally wouldn't be able to make up to. This is super useful for traversing a lot of the geometry in the game, and it is an easy way to not use stamina and waste it and be more efficient. The next thing I wanted to talk about is what is called a wall bounce. By pressing the opposite key of the wall that you're facing and pressing jump, your character will do a wall bounce. This can be done facing any direction, you just need to hit the opposite key. So in this case, I'm facing forward away from the wall, so I press W in space to wall bounce forward. You can also do this both sideways, and you can also do it backwards. All of these are super useful and allow you to traverse a lot of the geometry without using any stamina, instead of using double jumps, which makes you use a stamina. By combining both melee and wall jumping, it allows you to do some pretty awesome things where you don't have to use any stamina, and you can get up on most of the geometry low ground in the game. This is super useful, so you don't waste any more stamina than you need to, and allows you to just get around quicker and more efficiently around the map. After that, I wanted to talk about what is called a zipline cancel. In Deadlock, while you're traveling on a zipline, you are able to dismount the zipline by pressing the spacebar. But if you press the spacebar, your character will jump off the zipline with little to no momentum. You can circumvent this by hitting your crouch keybind, which allows you to move with the momentum you had on the zipline, which allows you to chain a lot of those movement tools about earlier together to do some pretty crazy things. This is one of the most useful techniques in the game, as it allows you to traverse way quicker than you're normally supposed to be able to, but I believe that Valve is keeping this as an intentional mechanic, as they've shown with a lot of the balancing around the map. The next thing, a more intermediate technique, is what's called the heavy melee cancel. In Deadlock, there are two gun items that you can purchase called Fleetfoot and Melee Charge. What Melee Charge does is it increases the heavy melee distance by 40%. This allows you to move much further than you normally do with your heavy melees, but it actually just makes your melee go faster. It is the same amount of time as the normal melee, so because of that, your character ends up going further and quicker than normal. You can combine this with an item like Fleetfoot, and you can cancel your melee. By pressing the input right before the melee interrupts, you cancel and you can do another melee. This is super useful for faking out your enemies and for mix-ups. But that's cool. But the biggest tool used with this technique is in the air. When you jump, melee, and pop Fleetfoot, your character will fly forward, and combined with a slide, allows you to traverse really quickly around the map. The more intermediate to advanced technique I would like to talk about is what is known as the corner boost. Corner boosting is super useful, where in Deadlock, A traditional wall bounce will only make you go out and up a little bit. A corner boost, if executed at the right time, will send you straight up. This is done, for example, on this fence by aligning yourself with the geometry and pressing your movement input into the railing before you land, and then hitting a wall bounce input. By doing this precisely, and it'll take a bit of practice to get used to, you're able to send yourself way higher than you are with a normal wall bounce. But I wanted to show off a more consistent method of applying the corner boost, and that is what is known as the capsule jump. In Deadlock, you can cancel your vaulting animation by pressing melee and space at the same time, so this will allow you to mantle geometry that you're normally not able to, maybe because it is too low. As you can see, if I go up to this fence, I can't mantle it, but if I press melee and space, I can mantle over it, just like any other piece of geometry that I can mantle. But what is useful about this technique is that when you do this, it places you in front of the railing. And by placing yourself in front of the railing, it allows you to execute a quick corner boost that sends you straight up. This is super useful, and there's plenty of spots that you can use to execute this on. And it is by far one of the most versatile techniques for getting around on the new map, especially with all of the new verticality that has been introduced. I'm now going to display some of the spots that you can use and apply these capsule jumps and corner boosts to reach some of the geometry that you're normally not able to. Over on the mid lane and the canal, you can see that on this bridge suspended by these two buildings spawn the bridge buffs. Normally, you would have to climb up the rope in order to get up top to the bridge buff. But if you apply a capsule jump on these fences shown before, you are able to go straight up on top very quick and easy. This is super useful for trying to get the buff and steal it before someone else does. A second spot that I'd like to highlight is in the mid lane, where on top of the tower that is normally inaccessible, if you hit a capsule jump off of this sign, you can send yourself up and you can reach the top of this mid tower. This is super useful in the mid lane for contesting from height and gives you a lot of sight on a lot of the areas that people are playing during the early laning stages of the game. Another spot in the Amber Hand yellow lane and the Sapphire Flame green lane, there are these signs that are sitting in front of the tower. Normally, you can't do a capsule jump by doing the melee cancel for the vaulting, but if you do a normal mantle, it puts yourself right in the position to hit a corner boost, and this is super useful on Lash, and you see me do it a lot in early laning in this lane. You can also do a capsule jump off of this sign right here to allow yourself to get some height, or alternatively, you can do it on this fence so you can reach up top onto these walls. Moving over to Amber Hand green and Sapphire yellow, on the tower, there is the sign right here next to the room where the vending machine spawns, that when you mantle on top, you can execute a corner boost and you can reach the top of this rooftop where the neutral camp is. This is an extremely useful rollout. I use it almost every single game, and it is just a quick and easy way to get on top of this building without having to go all the way right behind the tower and climb up the rope. You can also use this offensively to get up top and to fake people out. By going up here, you're able to take advantage of a lot of the space above the enemy's tower, and you're able to apply a lot of pressure this way. Thank you again for watching. If you have any questions about any of the movement tech shown in the video, you can always leave a comment, or you can come into my Twitch page where I'm live, and I will be more than glad to answer any of your questions. Thank you guys for all the support recently. It's been honestly incredible. There's more to come soon, so I hope you guys stay tuned.
Mrs. Mind you, Mrs. Mind you.
Keep going.